GM, Ford, and Chrysler. Detroit's big three, they dominated the American car market in the 60s and 70s. Who could possibly challenge their supremacy? Well, a Swedish company nobody could even spell hired an agency nobody had heard of to create advertising nobody had seen before. What followed is a phenomenal underdog story. Hi, I'm Devesh, and on Brand Broccoli, I serve up stories to help you build evergreen brands. This is the story of how Volvo started in America. They didn't have Detroit's financial muscle, but they had something no one saw coming, a startup agency hungry to make its mark. Sounds familiar? If you've seen my video on Volkswagen, you'll know how they revolutionized advertising with their Think Small campaign. And believe it or not, history was about to repeat itself. Volkswagen brought honesty to car advertising. With humor and charm, they showed how well built their cars were. But Volvo would take it even further. Before I show you the ads, let me tell you, this wasn't just another campaign. This was a new kind of advertising. Bold, truthful, but hard-hitting. The kind that shook Detroit. The campaign didn't just compare Volvo against American cars. It proved how tough their cars really were. One ad featured one of my favorite headlines ever.
And you can drive a Volvo like you hate it.
Remember that startup agency hungry to make its mark? It was led by Carl Alley, its founding president and CEO. And Carl wasn't just another ad man. He'd been a used car salesman and he knew everything about cars. In fact, he drove a Volvo himself. Here's the best part. They used Carl's Volvo in their first TV commercial. They showed Volvo outrunning Detroit's compact cars while matching Volkswagen's fuel economy. And Carl's Volvo with over 100,000 miles? It embarrassed the American cars. The commercial ended with a very fitting voiceover.
And it goes without saying, Volvos are virtually indestructible. Volvo is America's biggest selling imported compact.
This was just the beginning. The campaign would now attack what Detroit stood for. While Detroit wanted Americans trapped in a cycle, buying a new car every 2 years, Volvo had a different story to tell. Their cars lasted 11 years on average in Sweden. That too in brutal winters and unpaved roads.
In Sweden, there are no speed limits on the highways. There are over 70,000 miles of unpaved roads. How long can you expect a Volvo to last here in the States? Nobody really knows yet.
The agency turned this durability into Volvo's personality. As advertising legend Terry O'Reilly puts it perfectly, what you stand against matters as much as what you stand for. Volvo wasn't just selling a car, they were fighting Detroit's buy and upgrade philosophy. The strategy paid off. Before Carl Alley, Volvo's sales were declining, but within 5 years, they were selling almost 35,000 units annually, a 3 times increase in these 5 years. Volvo was the first client of Carl Alley. Comparative advertising became their signature and put the agency on the map. They would go on to produce some of the greatest advertising of the 20th century, and I'm a huge fan of Carl Alley's work. Detroit, though, couldn't ignore these ads. Just 1 week in, a furious executive from Ford called demanding they stop comparing cars. Carl Alley's response? Why don't you make your cars go faster? There is a lot modern marketers and founders can learn from this campaign. You got to believe in your product and play on your product's unique strengths. And if you are the underdog, you better fight like one. Otherwise, why even try? And here's another lesson. When looking for an agency, find one that has something to prove, just like Volvo found in Carl Alley. You know, I would have loved to see a similar campaign from an electric car maker. But instead, they come up with this. If your cars are supposedly faster, more efficient, and better for the environment, well, why don't you show it to the world? Maybe they should remember what Bill Bernbach said. A great ad campaign will make a bad product fail faster. But Volvo, they had the product to back every claim. That's what made this campaign so powerful. The courage of Carl Alley matched the toughness of Volvo. The product, the narrative, and the creative execution, everything worked together perfectly. And that's how you build a great brand. If you are interested in more servings of brand inspiration, hit subscribe to Brand Broccoli. I'm Devesh, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.